time, Mr. Speaker. We're considering matters of war and peace today. On Sunday, our nation will have been engaged in military action in Libya for 100 days. The actions taken by the President have a grave impact on the constitutional role of Congress and the role of the United States abroad. Taken together, these are among the most important issues that we, as members of Congress, will ever consider. These are the very debates that scholars and historians will study and analyze for decades to come. Given these fundamental issues, the American people deserve the full and thorough consideration that should be afforded to all legislation introduced into the body, with committee hearings and debate, followed by an open and regular process and a thoughtful debate by the whole House. In 1990, when I was first here, the body considered a resolution regarding the matters of war and peace. At the request of President George H.W. Bush, both chambers of the United States Congress engaged in a fierce debate about whether to authorize the use of military force in the Persian Gulf. I have vivid memories of those debates long ago into the night, with the issues being debated in committees, marked up by both parties, brought to the House floor for final debate before the American public. And on that particular measure concerning the Persian Gulf, we had 25 hours of debate and 263 members spoke. It was one of the most thorough airing of our constitutional obligations that I have witnessed. In exchanges that can only be publicly accessed and viewed today, members of the House and our colleagues in the Senate engaged in an intelligent, enlightening exchange of ideas about the merits, the dangers, necessities of passing a resolution authorizing American troops to engage in military force overseas. There were strong views on both sides of the aisle, but the views were accompanied by an overriding sense of duty to our country, a belief that Congress would reach a decision based upon the thoughtful and prudent votes of its members, and a reflection of the common interest of all its citizens. As historians look back on the debate over the Persian Gulf War, they can clearly see a vibrant democracy, a democracy that is engaged in robust debate, and a democracy earnestly working together for the best interest of its people. 2 decades later, we stand in a room that's imbued with this history. That debate took place right here, but we avoid the robust debates that preceded us here today. Indeed, the way in which today's measures are being debated shame the dignity, history, and tradition of this body. Today's resolutions about our actions in Libya have been rushed through the House of Representatives. They were written behind closed doors, received neither committee hearings nor committee markups. The 2 resolutions being considered on a single closed rule, following an emergency meeting of the Rules Committee yesterday afternoon. The process by which these measures proceeded through the Rules Committee is indicative of the chaotic and rushed process that we're being asked to vote for here today. Late Tuesday night, 10 o'clock, I believe, we were given 2 resolutions for an emergency meeting on Wednesday. They were added as emergency items to our afternoon meeting, but when we got to the Rules Committee, they had been pulled from the agenda. It wasn't until 9 p.m. Wednesday that we received the text of H.R. 2278. Yesterday, we were notified that the Rules Committee would meet on this new and unvetted bill, along with one of the original 2 resolutions, less than 3 hours. We now stand on the House floor being asked to vote for a closed rule. We will then be asked to consider 2 resolutions of historic proportions, with no ability to shape and adjust the measures to reflect the true will of the House. Mr. Speaker, I really regret the shameful way this important debate has been rushed through Congress, and I apologize to future generations who will look back on the work that we're doing today to try to understand the time. Quite simply, the legislative process matters. Historians, scholars, and yes, future members of Congress will look back at our actions today to see how their forebears shaped the fate of this country. In the case of the resolution of the Persian Gulf, they'll see how our democratic process thrived, whether one agreed with the resolution or did not. Shamefully, in the case of today's resolutions, they will see a dysfunctional democratic process one that has committed a disservice to the American people, to the dignity of the House of Representatives and the future of the United States by avoiding a true debate on one of the most important issues of our time. For these very reasons, I urge my colleagues to vote no on today's rule and reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlelady from